Hello, my name is Elizabeth Thompson, and I am the founder, owner, and audiologist at Hickory Audiology in Bloomington, Indiana, as well as a consultant for Soundtrack Hearing, which is partnered with Sheffield and Signia to help bring financing to your practice. Congratulations on the decision to incorporate financing into your practice. If you're like me, you're thinking, now what? I've made the decision, I'm going to do it. Now, how do I implement this into my practice? To me, there's a couple keys to successful integration of anything into a practice. First, we have to plan. Then we have to train our staff and ourselves on what we're going to do. And then fourth, we got to execute. We got to get it done. So let's talk about how to plan for incorporating sales or incorporating financing into your sales process. We really need to think about, where does it make sense to bring up financing to a consumer or a patient in your practice? When do you inform them of their options, and who will discuss those options with them? If you're routinely gathering a lot of information from the patient over the phone, which I think in the world of today a lot of us are doing, it may make sense to ask the patient right up front. If they're coming in for the purpose of doing an evaluation for hearing aids, do they have insurance coverage for their hearing aids is a question I know my staff is asking a lot more of these days. And then you can also ask the patient, are they interested in hearing about financing options? If they're interested in hearing about financing options, why not let them know that that's something that you offer at your practice as a way to help them in their journey towards better hearing? If the patient would like to go through a self-approval process prior to coming to your office, that is certainly something that Sheffield can do for you and your practice. And it just gets the person thinking before they come in, how am I going to proceed with hearing healthcare if that's ultimately the decision that I make? And when I think about that patient coming in the door with a pre-approval on financing, gosh, isn't that a signal that they're really serious about proceeding to care and to make sure that they're going to take up on the treatment plan that you recommend for them? So really think about that planning process. Who's going to do that? And make sure that we're having those conversations with the staff that's actually going to exit, or that's going to be having those conversations with the patient. Next, we got to train. If this is a front office staff member that's going to be engaging in that conversation, certainly we got to train that front office staff member how to handle that conversation with that consumer, with that patient. We have to inform our staff what new options they have available to them in their practice, and then adjust any practice protocols that you may have in place based on the new financing that you're integrating into your office. I've said it before and I'll say it forever. Audiology is a team sport. We're not in this as an individual audiologist on our own, but it's a coordinated effort between your entire staff, whether that be a patient care coordinator that you have on staff, an audiology assistant. Make sure that they're all aware of all the financing options that you have available at your practice now through Sheffield and Signia, and make sure that they know the ins and outs of those, so that you have a really good idea of so you have a really good script to be able to go talk to that patient about their options and ensure that everybody's just on the same page. Next, we got to execute, right? Plan, train, execute. So now that you've decided when you're going to bring up financing to that patient, you've trained your entire staff on what financing options exist. Now it's about executing. How are you going to make sure that you're informing your consumer, your patient, that financing options exist in your practice? We don't want your practice or the financing options available within them to be the best kept secret in town. You want to make sure that you're adding that information and promotional material to your waiting room, so that patients know, hey, look, there's a path. This practice really cares about how I'm going to proceed with care, and there's a pathway towards that with financing. Also, make sure you talk to your Signia sales team and marketing support members about how they can help. Signia has created quite a bit of material already that you can implement and use into your practice. Some of that promotional retail material, financing materials, is on the screen for you to see now. So they have waiting room material with cards, counter cards, And we were really going to talk about the premium solutions for the patient as low as, a certain dollar amount, as low as $125 on a $4,500 purchase, depending on what options you want to offer for financing within your practice. The goal here is really to give the patient an idea of how affordable quality hearing care could be for them. You want to help eliminate that sticker shock of the price of hearing aids and really think about, what would an extra $125 a month mean to me in order to gain better hearing for me or my spouse. I think bringing the spouse into that idea is really important as well. This is a big financial decision to make for a consumer, for a patient to get hearing aids. And I know as a spouse myself, I want my husband to have the best that there is to offer. And so if you give me a pathway towards that more affordable options, it just makes it feel like a better decision. And you as the practice are the one that's helping me find that better decision for me and my spouse. So why are we promoting financing? Addressing affordability, right? We're not reducing the cost of the devices, but we're just giving them an option to make that cost deliverable and fit within their life, within their lifestyle. We want to reduce the sticker shock, go down to a price of here's what it could be per month for you to have the best hearing care available. Increase that conversion rate. Audiology doesn't do any good if we're not giving help to people. And so I know that's why I became an audiologist, is to make sure that people could get the best help that they could give and to live their best hearing life through our care and services. Also, the other thing I think about when I talk about why promoting financing options, the ease of upgrade. How great is it for somebody to be able to think an extra, $32 a month means that I could upgrade to a more premium technology and get that, XYZ that I'm really looking for my hearing aid. And finance, Sheffield has all of this available on a finance calendar or calculator as well. So you can take your prices in and really understand how much are your prices going to be per month for that consumer based on the financing options that you want to offer in your clinic. Finally, let's think about the lifetime value of a patient. So a traditional patient that comes in and is purchasing hearing devices with cash, it's a big decision for them to make. And we're just going to make the math easy and assume that price for hearing aids at your clinic is around $5,000. So when that person, our patient here is Gus. So when Gus is thinking about that hearing aid purchase, he's thinking, okay, I'm going to be drawing that $5,000 out of my 401k. I really need it. I've been waiting a long time. It's time for me to get hearing care in 2021. This is going to be his year, right? And then if we fast forward 3 years, you're doing annual hearing checks with Gus and he's coming in and, maybe some new technology has come out and Gus is considering it. As you start talking to him about updating that technology every 3 to 5 years, Gus is having to make that decision again. Do I pull out another $3,000 or $5,000 out of my retirement fund? Maybe not. Maybe I'll wait. And maybe Gus waits and purchases at 5 years old for his hearing aids. If Gus continues that cycle till Gus is a beautiful 90-year-old coming into our clinic in 2046, the lifetime patient value for Gus would have been $25,000, as he would have purchased 5 sets of hearing aids over his lifetime. If we think about talking to Gus instead about this being a one-time purchase that then we have to talk about repurchasing every 3 to 5 years, and instead talk to him about a lifetime hearing health, and that in 2021, we absolutely can offer financing for him for $165 a month with the Sheffield financing plan. And then at the end of that 3 years, with that $165 per month, he would own his hearing aids. So he could choose then, at the end of 3 years, to stop making the $165 payment per month and use his hearing aids for the next couple years until he decides to replace them. Or what Gus may be thinking is that I've already used to paying $165 a month, and I want to make sure I keep the best technology available to me So why not? At 3 years, in 2024, why don't I go ahead and just invest in another cycle of financing and have access to the best technology available, and I'll have those hearing aids that I purchased in 2021 as my backup pair. If Gus continues that cycle every 3 years, really investing in his health and his hearing, and he's seeing us in 2046 at the age of 90 as a very loyal patient to our practice who's never shopped around to someplace else to go. Our lifetime patient value for Gus, as he's purchasing his 8th set of hearing aids, would be $40,000. So as you can see, it not only is a win for you as the practice and the lifetime value and the loyalty that you have with that patient, but it's also a win for Gus. Gus has been in the best technology available. He owns his backup sets of hearing aids, and he has made the investment in his hearing health as a monthly charge for him versus just thinking about it as a one-time purchase that he maybe have to grapple with kind of time and time again. So hopefully I've given you some tips and tricks on how to implement financing into your practice. First and foremost, congratulations on making this decision. I'm a big believer that financing integrated into your practice can really help the consumer, as we've talked about earlier in this webinar, but also help your practice thrive and be successful. So what are my key takeaways? As with anything, plan, train, and execute. Figure out how you, as the individual who's making the decisions and leading your practice, how do you want to implement financing into your practice? Get everybody on your team behind that plan, and then execute. Make sure that you're delivering on your financing plan day in and day out. Incorporate it into your sales process. Don't make your consumers ask you about financing options. You should be telling them about the kind of financing that you have available within your practice. Make sure you educate all of your staff. Front office staff is really important in the communication chain here for offering financing, and it could benefit your entire practice with more appointments, more sales, higher ASP. Also, finally, utilize those marketing resources available from Signia. There are great traditional and digital materials available for you to help you promote the affordability of better hearing through your practice. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing all of you in future webinars.